Hello world! Today I'm going to take a look at, for the first time, my first Morphe palette, the KathleenLights Morphe collaboration. Hey everybody, Shelly here, and today I'm going to take a look at the KathleenLights Morphe collab eyeshadow palette. It's pretty. Of course it's pretty. KathleenLights is one of my favorite beauty bloggers. I just think she is great. I love the makeup look she does. I think she's a really honest, sort of down-to-earth kind of person, relatable, and I enjoy her videos. So I have never purchased a Morphe palette before. This is my first one, and I hadn't bought them in the past because I wasn't thrilled by the reviews, and most reviews came along with a tagline that says, well, it's good for the money. And that just didn't seem like a very compelling reason to buy it, any of them. So this is my first Morphe palette. It is going to be a first impressions / review based on first impressions. So one use of the palette, and I will tell you what I'm thinking so far. And if things go well, maybe you'll see this in a future 3 looks 1 palette. Who knows? But we're going to start out with this one look, and we're going to see what the first impressions shake out to be. So this palette, first off, let me say, from Morphe anyway, the palette came incredibly well packaged. So the palette itself was in bubble wrap inside of the very cute KathleenLights theme box. But then this whole box was in its own bubble wrap, and when I say in its own bubble wrap, it was like this thing would survive the end of the world levels of bubble wrap. So there was no way this thing was going to show up broken at my doorstep, no matter what the shipping guy decided to do with it. If he was using it for football practice, it would have survived. So I was really impressed with the shipping packaging. So, because there's nothing more heartbreaking than opening up a new eyeshadow palette and having it all crumbly and you didn't even get to touch it. Like, oh, it's so sad. So I was really excited about that. So that made me happy. And I've got some swatches for you. This is a really nice mix of mattes and shimmers. It's primarily neutrals and warm tones. There's a couple cool tones thrown in here, but these really do speak to the kinds of looks that Kathleen tends to do on her channel. So I really do feel like she did collaborate. This isn't just something that has her name slapped on it. She chose these colors, and from what I was reading, some of the colors actually are unique to her. They're not Morphe colors. They're colors that she came up with. So that is a good thing, I think. Let's do some swatches. So this first row, I'm going to go top to bottom, left to right. The first row is pretty much your lighter colored neutrals and getting into some of the metallics. First up, we've got a cream colored shimmer, followed by a matte cream color as well. Then we've got a nice transition shade, a sort of neutral warm brown. Then we've got a champagne shimmer color and a metallic bronze color. And then the second row has more of the sort of smoky neutral shades. We've got, first off, a dark gray brown, sort of really nice for outer crease, I'm thinking. And then we've got a plummy gray, very slightly plummy gray shimmer. And then we've got, think like copper penny shimmer color. And then we have a couple of reddish shades. We have a matte mauve shade and then a matte burgundy brown shade. And then we get into the bottom row where we've got a couple more usable mattes and the real pop of magic here. So the first one is a dark shimmer, an olive green sort of color, and the second is an emerald green shimmer color. It's so pretty. Then we've got another matte, which is a sort of red-brown, and then a mustard yellow-brown gold matte tone, and then last but not least, a matte black. All right, let's rock. So I've got my complexion face on. I have primed my eyelids with Too Faced Shadow Insurance. And it's time to figure out what I would like to try first. So I had swatched the entire palette, and initially I was really excited about these pinkish reds going on here, these sort of like pinkish gray type colors going on over here. Everyone that I've seen that has taken a look at this palette so far on YouTube has really been working with all the warm brown tones, and that's totally fine, but I'm usually drawn more toward pinks and mauves and purples and things like that. So I think I'm going to go that route. Now, I originally was inspired to do something around the 90s grunge-ish kind of thing, which would have been the browns. But I think I've been taking my 90s grunge a little too literally lately. I mean, I am wearing a very Cobain-esque sweater right now. And then, you know, I tried curling my hair, this new haircut, I'm still kind of getting used to it. And then I felt like I had sort of like a Winona Ryder circa Reality Bites 90s thing going on here with the hair. So then I was like, oh, I should do that, because there's a scene at the end where she's at the gas station using her parents' gas card to pay for food at the gas station and cleaning people's windows for cash and whatever. She's wearing this cute red t-shirt and she's got this wacky hair and she's wearing red lipstick. And so then I thought, oh, I just got this Rimmel lipstick, this reddish color, Provocalips, and I was going to try that, and now I'm thinking that this red might not work with the colors that I want to try in this palette, but, you know, I don't care. There are no rules in makeup, so I'm just going to go with it, and we're going to see where the heck we end up. Sound like a plan? Okay. So, I did prime with Shadow Insurance, and I'm going to start with this matte color. On me, it's swatched almost exactly skin tone because I'm Casper the Friendly Ghost. It's getting to be that time of year. So I'm just going to use this to set my eyeshadow primer because to me it's almost skin tone color and it's a matte. It's not a shimmer. Now you might find that this is a little too light for you to pull this off, but yeah, I become basically transparent in the winter. So I can get away with using highlighters as regular colors. I think for transition, everyone that I've seen has been using this sort of brownish orange shade. I think I'm going to buck the trend, and I think I'm going to go in with this sort of mauve-y, purpley color. I'm going to take the Sigma E25, and I'm going to use this as a sort of crease / transition color. And now I have hooded lids, so I do have to take my transition colors pretty high above my natural crease if I want to be able to see them when my eye is open looking straight on here. So let's just start this way, shall we? So how's everybody doing? You guys having a wonderful week? I'm filming this the weekend before we go to the polls for the U.S. elections for the presidential race, and I am not here to talk about politics, but I do hope that everybody in the U.S. that is eligible gets out and votes, regardless of what the heck you believe in. Just get out there, cast your vote. It's our civic duty, do all that good stuff. This actually makes a surprisingly nice transition shade. I thought it might be a little too dark, but you know me, I'm kind of into the darker, more dramatic sort of looks anyway. We're going to keep going with this. I'm thinking what I would like to do is probably this darker shade, this purpley reddish shade in the outer third. I'm thinking this shade for the lid, outer corner right here, and that's my current plan. So this is my Real Techniques. This is their small shadow brush. Oh, they call it a shading brush. It was one of the only brushes I've ever seen for sale singly, as a single and not in a set. I got it at Kohl's. So if you're looking, that might be the way to go. So I'm going to dip into that darker reddish color and just go for like outer third action. Now this is very pigmented. Holy cow. I'm going to take just a little into the crease. I'm going to use a blending brush to blend that out a little bit, so don't panic at the blockiness right now. Let's just get some color down. And holy pigment. Holy pigment, Batman! You know, this is an interesting color because I feel like it can probably run... Seriously? Do you see what's happening right now? Say hi, Ziva! Say hi. No, you cannot. You can't be here right now. I'm filming a video right now. Oh God. Scooch, jump. Where was I? What the heck was I saying? I don't remember what I was saying. Something about these being super pigmented. This is a very, very pigmented color right here, which is good. I like that. I'm gonna take, this is a Wet n Wild. It was, I think, marketed as a crease blending brush, but I find that because the bristles go out instead of tapering in, it's really not, it's a good blending brush, but for the crease it's kind of big. Maybe my eyes are just too small, I don't know. I'm just going to blend this just a little bit to soften it and bring it into the crease without being super deliberate about bringing it into the crease, if that makes any sense at all. This is blending very nicely, let me say, right off the bat. So this is my first Morphe palette. I had avoided them. I was really interested in some of their palettes, and then I would read reviews, and the reviews would say something like, you know, great for the price. And that to me just kind of says, it's not great, but since it's cheap, I will tolerate the not greatness. And I just felt like I didn't want to spend my money on something that wasn't great, you know? It's I don't know. I mean, yeah. So that's what I had been thinking and had not purchased anything from Morphe. So this is my very first Morphe palette. And, well, I'm only a couple colors in, but so far, I'd say it's better than good for the price. It seems really decently, goodly, nice. So I'm no complaints yet. Let's go with that shimmer sort of... It's a gray, pink, purple to my eye. Let's see. Do I want a large shadow brush or a smaller one? I think I'm going to grab another one of that same style of brush. It's a different one though, the Real Techniques small shader brush. And let's get some of this on the lid. It's interesting because it's got like a gray cast to it, but I like it. It's not a super bright color, but I'm kind of going for a little subdued shimmer anyway. You know, doing the whole 90s grunge thing. 90s weren't really about bright. They were about subdued and dark and bold and usually brown, but I'm going for like a take on a pink mauve grunge look. How about that? Is there such a thing? Am I making this up? I am making this up, but there could be such a thing, right? That's a really pretty color. I'm having a little bit of fallout from these, so I'm just going to take a Morphe brush, ironically, and just kind of try and keep the fallout to a minimum. Not terribly bad fallout. That is a really pretty color. Can you see this? It's like it's not as gray on the eye as it is in the pan, but it's a little bit gray. It's a little bit pink undertone, maybe plum pink undertone. I like it. I like it. Let's deepen the outer corner a little bit, shall we? I have a Makeup Geek brush that I am in love with. Like, I have a super massive crush on this brush. Oh my god, and I can't find it in that. Oh, there it is. Oh, I seriously have a crush on this brush. It's called the Outer V brush, and it's just so good for the outer V, especially if you deal with hooded lids. Like, see all this extra, like flesh that I have on my lids here that hangs down in the outer V area. This brush makes everything super easy to deal with. Love it, love it. I'm going to take this. It's a dark, it's sort of a grayish. It's not as dark as the black in this palette, but we don't want like super dark today. We're just going like kind of sort of dark, maybe a little bit of dark, not a ton of dark. This is just the right amount of dark, I think. Do you see how perfect this brush is? Seriously. Seriously, yo. Perfect brush. It just fits right in there. It's firm enough to be precise with its placement, but it's soft enough to do a little bit of blending. You know, it's not going to blend totally into the crease. You're still going to have to come in with a blending brush to sort of, you know, get the final effect going on, but you can get really nice placement of color in a blended way that is not going to look like harsh, you know, laid down color. So I really love this brush. I really like this color with this shimmer. It's just enough darkness to add some dimension over there, but just enough lightness not to be overpowering. I like this color. I feel like I need to bring back a little bit more of the red because I lost a little bit of it with my lid and my outer corner there. So I just want to make these a little more happy, a little more red, just as sort of a gradient. Now I am barely touching my brush into this pan because they really do, these shadows do have a good amount of color pickup. They're pretty pigmented. I don't need a ton of shadow, and they pick up nicely on the brush, so I'm enjoying them. Let's get a little bit more of our shimmer just to balance out the blend here. And just to show you how much I touched, I mean, I literally just went tap, tap. And it does. It picks up enough shadow to be useful. I think I want to blend just a little more of my original transition color right above all this action here, just to make sure we are smooth. Yeah. So you saw Ziva jump up here. You can probably hear her sneezing in the background. It has been a heck of a week over here for the cat population. I've got 4 cats, and they've all been sick this week. We had a respiratory infection going around the cats, and 2 of them ended up at the emergency vet, and Ziva was hospitalized for a few days, and everybody is starting to be on the mend, thank goodness, but it has been a bit of a stressful week here, which I think is partially explaining the little breakouts I have going on my chin, partially explaining my dry skin. I haven't been eating very well. I'm dehydrated for sure. Let's do a little bit of highlights. So I'm going to take this shimmery one on the inner corner and just a little bit, not going to get crazy here. Ooh, this is a nice, it's subtle, but it's still pops. I have to say, my initial impression here is I like this palette a lot more than I was expecting to in terms of the shadows themselves, the sort of, I don't want to say the quality of the shadows, but I guess it is the quality of the shadows. I'm going to do brow bone highlight with the matte shade up here. They kick up a little bit of powder, like I don't know if you can see the brush, just how powdery I've got it. Some of the shadows are a little bit powdery, but overall I'm finding them easy to blend. I'm finding them to be quite pigmented. Overall, initial first impression is pretty doggone good of this Morphe palette. That was another criticism I had read along the way, that the shadows are kind of hit or miss within a palette from Morphe, so I think that's probably true as well here. In swatching these, this black was not nearly as soft or buttery as the rest of the colors, and it was kind of patchy going on. Same with this darker green, but I have not used them on the eyes yet, and of course you can have a totally different experience when you put these things on your eyes. It's totally true. So I'm going to hold judgment until I've tried them all, but initial impression is really good so far. I'm going to do some eyeliner. What should we do, guys? Let's do... Where is mine? Of course I'm going to do black liner. Are you great? I mean, that's all I ever do, right? Most of the time. This is the Physicians Formula. It's like a 3-in-1 eye booster, something or other they call it, in ultra black. And this is seriously, I have no doubts now this is a straight up dupe for Kat Von D's tattoo liner. I love Kat Von D's tattoo liner in Trooper. I use it all the time. These two are so similar to each other. I can pretty much use them interchangeably. This is what happens when you start out in your head thinking, let's go easy on the eyeliner today, and then, As always, my Urban Decay 24/7 Waterline pencil in Legend, aka Black. I've already bought a backup of this. This is going to be one of the first liner pencils that I ever totally sharpened down to a nub, which is, I think, an accomplishment. I feel pretty accomplished about this. I feel good. I never used to tightline my upper waterline, but once I started doing it, especially since I'm clearly obsessed with black eyeliner on my upper lid, I can't not do it. I feel like everything's unfinished if I don't tightline my upper waterline. So, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go in with Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. I have a love-hate relationship with this stuff. I love how it looks. I hate that it flakes off all over my face all day long, and that drives me nuts. But it's so reliable in being such a nice-looking mascara that I keep using it, and I mean, I don't know. It's like that boyfriend that you really shouldn't spend so much time with, but you can't help yourself. It's like I'm attracted to the bad boy. Oh, is it good for my life? Is it bad for life? I don't know, but my lashes look great. Alright, I'm going with NYX Liquid Suede in Brooklyn Thorn, which is one of these, like, colors I don't wear super often, but every time I do, I love it. I don't know if it's the perfect color for these eyes, but since we're going for that, like, sort of weird Cobain-esque grunge thing, or at least that's where I started out today, I'm just gonna go with it. So, here you have it. First impressions of this Morphe x KathleenLights palette. My first impressions are really good. I liked how it's swatched. Very few shadows seem troublesome to me. The palette is really warm and neutral overall, and I do tend toward cool tones. There are a couple of cool pops in here. I think if you don't like warms, you're not going to have a whole lot of options in here. Thankfully, at least in my world, I'm generally a neutral skin tone with cool undertones, so that neutral I can get away with just about anything warm or cool in terms of like eye colors and things. But the shadows are overall very pigmented, very easy to blend, except I have not used that black, but my fear, that's the only one that really seemed a bit patchy when I swatched. The color selection is nice. I like a palette that has sort of everything you need. You've got your highlights, your transition, your crease colors, and your lid colors. All matte and shimmer combos. I really like when I can just, if I needed to, I could take one palette and get multiple looks out of it and travel easily. It is a pretty travel-friendly size of a palette. It's a nice small palette. It's got the magnetic closure, which I prefer, which keeps everything closed and sealed for, you know, you don't want your stuff flying open and getting all damaged. There is no mirror in here, so travel-wise, that may be, if that's a deal breaker for you, then it wouldn't be a very good travel palette, but I never really use the palette mirror anyway, so that's not a deal breaker for me. The packaging is sleek. It's just cardboard, but it's nice looking, it's attractive, it doesn't look cheap, it doesn't feel cheap, it doesn't feel terribly luxurious either, but it's a good, decent, solid feeling palette. Yeah, first impressions are good. I'm pleasantly surprised at that $15 price point. Plus, if you use one of the codes of any of the beauty bloggers, tons of people have Morphe codes. You get 10% off. So, and that does qualify on this palette as well. It sounds like the palette is initially out of stock. I have not read if it's going to be restocked or not. So if you did get your hands on it, hooray! And if you didn't, keep your eyes open because you never know, you might find a restock coming around. But the shadows have a little bit of fallout. Some of the mattes kick up a little bit of powder, but that's not really a deal breaker for me. If you know it going in, then you know how to accommodate it while you're applying your makeup. So overall, I'm going to give the Morphe KathleenLights collab palette a thumbs up. I think it's a great palette for $15. I'm not even going to say it's good for the price. I'm going to say this is a pretty great palette for the price. Does it stack up to like the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette or Urban Decay? Some of the shadows that I dearly, dearly love? No, of course it doesn't. But I'm really not seeing anything to complain about in the colors I played with today. So all in all, thumbs up. It's approved. Thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to hang out and geek out over makeup with me. If you'd like to see me check out any other palettes, be they expensive or reasonably priced, leave me a comment down below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I put out new videos every single week. And be sure to take care of each other. Have yourselves a wonderful day or evening wherever you happen to be out in this awesome world. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.